Folks, thank you for joining us. We have three great ladies here. Interesting enough, I think the letters of your first names all begin with what?
L.
Yeah.
L. Oh, okay. So we have Lady over here, we have Elizabeth here, and Leslie there.
Yes.
Well, that's the first step we got beyond that. So tell us about the organization and spell it out loudly for people.
Well, first of all, thank you for having us. My name is Elizabeth Garcia, and I'm the Executive Director of the Hialeah Community Coalition. And the Hialeah Community Coalition is the first and foremost coalition in Hialeah, the only coalition in Hialeah that's devoted full-time to the prevention of drug use and misuse among kids. And we do that by educating the community, the parents, and the youth on the harms and effects of alcohol, drug use, misuse, vaping, and all that good stuff.
You might remember years ago there was a saying, "Don't do drugs." I think that was that with Nancy Reagan?
Reagan.
Yes, it was.
And that was a real conversation that took place.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if it was effective or not, but the conversation was taking place. So, lady, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and when you joined the organization?
Hi, thank you for having us. My name's Lady Suarez, and I'm a prevention specialist with the Hialeah Community Coalition. I teach Botvin life training skills, which is a nationally recognized evidence-based program that it deals with prevention. And it's supposed to strengthen the abilities of the kids when it comes to teaching them social and life skills in order for them to make healthy choices.
And so, why don't you, it's Leslie.
Yes, correct.
So, tell us a little bit about the difference when 25 years ago when pot smoking was illegal.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but in the last 10 years, it's become legal. How's that affected what you do?
Well, we manage various grants. For example, I'm the project coordinator and a prevention specialist with the CARE grant, which is the Comprehensive Addiction Recovery Act. So 25 years ago, what you heard was a lot of messaging and primarily scare tactics. We try to stay very, very clear from that, and we focus on having conversations, real conversations within the community with the youth. And so what's really changed is how we deliver the messaging, quite frankly.
You probably remember when we were much younger, they would have a devil in black.
Yes.
Right? And that was like, this is what's going to happen to you if you do, I don't know if it was marijuana or whatever it was, from a scare tactic.
Right.
So does that work nowadays?
Well, nowadays, you really have to give kids information because we all have access to the web. So by me telling you the old campaign, this is your brain and 2 eggs and you put them in a fryer. Remember that one?
Yes.
And this is what will happen.
I wish I could.
Yeah.
And this is what will happen to your brain if you do drugs. You'll fry your brain. That doesn't really work anymore because kids now can go online and see that if you do pot, you're not going to fry your brain. So we have to be very clear. And as Leslie mentioned, conversations. It's not just about don't do drugs. It will kill you. It's about why you shouldn't do drugs. We educate them. We tell them things like, do you know that your brain is still developing until the age of 25? So up to the age of 25, you're doing drugs and you're impeding your brain from continuing to develop. So we're not using scare tactics so much as we're using information, real education to educate these kids on why if you use drugs, you'll have, your brain will not function correctly.
You speak about education. Schools coming back into session, I guess, in the next couple of weeks. So the kids have been out for the summer. Now they're going to go back to their buddies that they used to get high with and all last year. So what's the education part of that when they're in school and they're sitting next to their old smoke buddies?
Yeah, so I go into the schools and it's an ongoing classroom setting. I go with my colleague, Alejandro Vasquez. He's another prevention specialist. And we meet the kids where they're at. We build rapport with them. They trust us. They see us throughout the school year. And we do interactive activities with the lessons. So it's group discussion, it's role playing, and they feel like we're their best friends because they've told us in anonymous surveys, why are you leaving? Can you guys come back? We miss you, Miss Lady. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to talk to them, like Leslie mentioned, in conversation.
And so how do you use the feedback and the input that you get from these kids to share that with other people? Tell us how that happens.
Well, we have year-round community surveys. So we quite literally poll the community, whether they're in schools or, for example, at recreation centers. We have a great relationship with Hialeah Parks and Rec. So the students get polled year-round on how they feel about their community, what their needs are, whether they feel like they belong. And it really helps us kind of build an understanding of where the holes are. And so we do that, and In addition to the partners that we work with 12 community stakeholders. So anywhere from law enforcement, businesses, community media publications such as yourself. And we share that information with them. We let them know, where the use is. In addition to that, we also hold a yearly needs assessment. So we have partners from the DEA, from the CDC, the list goes on, who join us and really listen to what's going on in Hialeah. And there we form, the programming for the next year, strictly focused on what parents and children are telling us in these surveys.
And are there certain times of the school year where you realize there are more drugs being used, more kids are in trouble during the school year?
Well, we're noticing a lot during the summer when there's free time and when stress is highest. Usually when we poll students, it's at the beginning of the school year, in the middle of the school year, and we have a lot of community activities in the summer with the Hialeah Parks and Recreation. So that's when we notice that stress is really high.
And let me ask you, as far as how do you help these young people develop life skills so they know how to handle when somebody's trying to pressure them, or how they're going to get off, and how they're going to grow up as an adult in a society they may be vacant from?
Well, that's where Lady and Alejandro come in through the Botvin Life Skills Training, which I'll let her talk a little bit more about that. But also want to piggyback on some of the programs that we do. We have something called Youth Dialogue Day, where we actually invite community members to come out and sit around a round table just like this, and we have the kids sitting around the table and we ask questions, and basically the kids get to answer. We may have like 5 topics. One of the topics could be bullying, the other one could be marijuana, vaping, and we basically ask, what do you think are the issues with marijuana or vaping or bullying? And the kids will tell the community partners sitting around the table what's going on, how they see things, and it's not just about talking about what the problem is, but also the solution. They'll also tell that community person, listen, I think a good solution would be to maybe have more lighting around the parks, maybe have more education, maybe have more access for us to be able to be at the park at night if there's good lighting, maybe safety issues or whatnot. So, and we've had, our mayor come out, we've had our council people from the city of Hialeah come out and sit around these youth dialogue days, and it's really a one-on-one. It's maybe 15 kids and maybe 4 or 5 community members, and they're actually talking with the kids, and they're hearing straight from the youth's perspective on what they feel the problem is and what they feel the solution might be. And I'll let Lady talk a little bit about Botvin.
Let's talk about kids' problems. If they're getting stoned all the time, so often that's to cover up stuff so they don't have to feel or think things. When you're dealing with these students, do they start to realize that? And is that one of the motivations for changing, or they're doing it and they have no recollection of what the problem might be?
Yeah, well, the kids that I train, they're all sorts of kids. Like I start realizing, maybe if there's certain issues going on with the way that they tell me things, with the conversations that we have. But the life skills training that we do is a lot of role playing and very interactive. So we talk about decision making, low self-esteem, and we escalate up to drugs and alcohol. But we first start with them getting comfortable with us, with me and with the other gentlemen that we work with.
When we were much younger, I was fortunate I didn't drink very much, but it would always be, if somebody was slightly drunk, we'd laugh at them, they'd have a good time, and then you'd say, they really got drunk. Nobody really thinking about the consequences of getting drunk.
Yeah.
So how do you explain to them why their parents, or how parents wind up getting drunk or overdosing, and the grief that it causes the child, and how there might be a connection to that?
Also, let me say something. The drinking that you probably witnessed or partook in back in the day, or the drugs that you possibly witnessed, are not the same drugs that are being sold out in the community now. It's not the same drugs that kids are getting now. We're talking about very different things, and not that it really matters. Drugs are drugs, and they're going to make an impact on your brain and on your body. But that's one of the things that I talk about all the time. Listen, just because you know someone that did drugs 20 years ago and they grew up just fine and dandy, it doesn't mean that that's going to be your case, because the same drug that maybe that person took 20 years ago, trust me, it's not the same drug you're getting in the street right now.
Yeah, we focus a lot on presentation and letting them know this is what alcohol looks like now, and it probably looks like a probiotic drink. It's very fun. It's colorful. It's got great font and branding, and you have to be aware of alcohol levels. You have to be aware of THC levels because now they're very popular and being sold in health food stores. In addition to that, we also bring in, conversations with people who have surpassed what you would consider addiction, people who are in active recovery, and we sort of paint this picture of this is what life can look like if unfortunately you take that route. And also here are what you can encounter in your daily lives and how you can potentially let your friends know if you're experiencing peer pressure, how not to go that route and what better to answer with.
And ladies, so often people, when they're getting high, they do it in groups. So when they go to try to stop, they still have that group connection that they have. So how do you explain that to them, and so that they can recognize if you stay in that group, this is what's going to happen?
It's funny because the kids today are very much different from when I was a kid. Friends were super important to me. The kids today, they have more knowledge, and they're like, I don't mind losing a friend if they're doing something that I don't agree with. And they're like, who knows? Maybe I'll see them in the future, and maybe I won't. It's not that they're not empathetic about it, because some of them do show that they care about their friends. It's more that they have the knowledge more today than I guess I did when I was their age.
So again, let's talk about the organization, who's involved with it, how you get funding for it, and some of your outreach programs.
Particularly, I help manage. I'm the project coordinator for the Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act. So our programs pretty much start with us polling the community, seeing where the needs are, and then we apply to grants based on what those needs are. We have a higher chance of winning than when we focus on community needs. But also, we focus on strengthening partnerships with senators, with mayors. We've actually been visited by 2 administrations, the Office of National Drug Control Policy, the drug czar, Dr. Gupta, and for this administration, Sarah Carter, the director of the ONDCP. So strengthening our partnerships and literally finding ways to be able to fund what needs to be funded. But we focus on community needs first and foremost.
So we look at Miami-Dade County. Finally, after several years, the county commission voted to open the mental health facility. Yep. That was a disaster. That it took so long, and the need was so high.
Yeah.
And you think, well, what caused that not to be on the high level? So fortunately, it's open now. And even though the county was spending a lot of money on those prisoners, the people with mental and drug problems, they were there, and the county was paying for that. Versus now, they were able to go out and get some money. Yeah. But what is the connection between severe abuse, drug abuse, and alcohol abuse, and emotional problems?
Well, first of all, let me point out the Hialeah Community Coalition specifically targets prevention. So we try to get to the community, the youth, the parent, before they get to that point of using. We highly believe in prevention. If we can prevent something from happening, it's going to save so much time, heartache, and money to the community, because we are educating, we are preventing before it gets to the point that the youth is actually using. So we focus on prevention. We believe in prevention. We believe that the coalition's work in prevention is much more cost effective than any program that you can put out there.
And let's talk about the age group of the students that participate. Give us all a range that is.
Well, we train middle school, which is between the ages of 11 and 14 years old, and high school, 15 to about 18 years old. So it's a wide range.
Yeah.
So, and back to prevention, we know if people need health care and they don't get it, we know where they're going to wind up.
Correct.
And it's going to cost us a whole lot more.
Yeah.
A lot more, because they're going to wind up in the ER, and maybe they're going to need surgery, maybe amputation, whatever it happens to be, versus getting people to get constant health care.
Correct.
But how do you get the student who's not sure what he wants to do? What do you do to try to get you in front of them?
Yeah. If I may be so bold, just to answer your last question on this one in sort of the same manner, we try to remove the 2 things that we believe are the biggest barriers, which is education and stigma. What we're finding is that students really some of them have never heard of a methamphetamine, and we know that they're currently being sold on the street. We know that fentanyl is a huge problem. It's probably the biggest problem in America when it comes to an illicit drug that can kill you with 1 pill, for example. And then opening the dialogue into making sure that there is no such thing around stigma when it comes to mental health, when it comes to preventing the problem, and then also that leads to a pathway of talking about recovery when it does present itself, because sometimes they shy away from that. Our parents shy away from that. They think it's never my kid, or we're a melting pot here in South Florida. So there is that inherent stigma that's coming from a place of, a lot of our parents have never been to therapy. A lot of our grandparents really did not understand what that looks like. So
Well, I'm not
you're
in
not
that group.
and they don't have a big foundation, or I guess a foundation at all to be able to navigate that world. So it's easier to build off of that.
Before, a couple of years ago, I was unaware of how many people were directly impacted by drug and alcohol abuse. There's a facility, a 12-step program, I'll call it, not too far from here. And the other night I was going home about 8 o'clock. There were at least 75 cars, maybe 100 cars. So we know there were probably 125 people there, maybe 150 people that were there. And when you see the impact that it has everywhere, it's significant. So when you're doing this work and you realize that you might have saved somebody from this pathway, from instead of turning right and went left or whatever it happened to be, how do you feel about that?
I think the most rewarding part of my job is to have that, hopefully a lesson, a conversation, or even just a smile with the kids can possibly change their healthy choices when it comes to their future, not just with school, but with their life. And I think it's something that it tugged like at my heartstrings, because I do see some of the kids that I've taught before, and they're like, well, I'm doing all these amazing things. I'm going to another school, or I'm doing college prep. So I think that hopefully making the difference that in the future, even if I don't see the kids, but that they'll remember, Miss Lady said,
But you've bumped into some of them in the community with their parents, and
Yes,
they've come
I
up to you.
have.
Why don't you share one of those stories?
Yeah, I was actually at a friend's birthday party, a kid's birthday party at a bowling alley, and someone mentioned, there's a little girl looking at you, and then I looked around and I wasn't in uniform. It was just the weekend, and she came up to me and she said, Miss Lady, I want you to meet my mom. And then so she introduced me to her
How
mom.
old is she?
She was like about 13. And then so I met the mom, and the mom said, oh, finally, I get to meet you. My daughter comes home talking about you all the time. And she said that she misses your classes. And I got teary-eyed, because I was like, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting. And she said great things. She told me, thank you, because these are things that, the teachers don't teach them. This is something outside of the regular school curriculum.
So you can definitely say, saved this starfish, because that little girl is going to forever remember Lady. And obviously she's still talking about Lady. So if you're referring back to the story of, I saved this starfish, put it back in the water. So yeah, and we all get
I heard that starfish program.
Yeah, the
not too long
starfish
ago.
story. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us about that?
The starfish stuff. Oh gosh, I'm terrible at storytelling. Does anyone know that story with all the perfect?
I've never heard of it.
Well, okay, so I'll tell you. So there's a little girl walking down the beach, and she keeps picking up these starfish, and she keeps throwing them back in the water. Someone who watches her comes up to her, an adult, and says, "Little girl, why are you?" Continue to put these fish back in the water. There's millions of them up and down the shore. You're never going to be able to save them all. Just give up. It's just a lot to do. And she says, well, just save that one. And that's been a story that has resonated with me forever and ever, because, you're not trying to save every single child that you meet, but you're making an impact on a lot of the kids that you meet. And you're going to definitely save at least one of those kids that you meet. And that's a win.
Yeah.
Leslie, tell us.
There's so many, I think, instances that it's so hard to pinpoint. But for me, it has to be the interact when something starts as an interaction and then builds. We've actually had students join our youth coalition. They've gone as far as to speak, to the representatives about the work that we do. They've joined and helped us create social media content, and that started all from maybe a conversation with Lady, or a conversation with Alejandro, or with any other of our wonderful staff. That's very rare, because I attended schools that were wonderful, but I never really wanted to continue a conversation or a friendship or get more involved unless it was something that I found creative, for example. So to see students want to follow the coalition on social media, want to share with their parents, with their friends, bring their friends along. And then you have the other rare instance of somebody telling you, I actually spoke to my mom about, hey, don't keep your cabinet unlocked. Hey, why are you smoking or vaping? That made a huge difference for me. But yeah, I think those small little moments where you see a little bit of a breakthrough, it kind of helps you return to the work every day.
You thinking about somebody in particular?
There was a student, yeah. So through the Hialeah Parks and Recreation, is a very nice young man that we met who, maybe didn't have the best social skills, and we found him sort of blossom. You guys know who I'm talking about. He joined our coalition. He is now the vice president of the youth coalition. He actively participates. He's spoken on our behalf to his representatives, and he's developed a great relationship with all of us. We've also seen him excel socially, where him and his mother, their relationship has changed. Him and his friends, he's been a little bit more confident. And now he's a completely different person. He's in college. He still keeps up with us. I would consider him a friend. So it's really rewarding.
It's wonderful. Is there somebody in particular you're thinking about?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad Leslie mentioned him. It's true. I mean, I felt like we saw him in the last couple of years grow so much, and he even wears our coalition shirt.
Yeah,
and he's part of us. It's a story of someone that you met and then blossoming into something amazing, and he loves us and we love him. Yeah, I think that story is a good one.
So where's the organization in 5 years from now?
Hopefully continuing in the community. We are sustained by grants. We're sustained by federal grants, and we are not in control of that. We can only do the amazing job that we do and hope that the higher-ups are looking down and see and continue to fund us. We constantly strive for funding, constantly looking for new ways to grow, new ways to set programs, to be able to put more programs out in the community, more education. So we started, actually, I'll tell you the story how the Hialeah Community Coalition started. I was called and I was told, hey, Liz, would you like to start and ground roots this coalition? You have to name it, put it together. You need a board of directors, everything. And this was back in 2013 when I was first brought on board. We became a nonprofit in 2015. I remember driving up and down the streets of Hialeah thinking, I need a board. How am I going to, who do I need? It's literally driving up and down the street, looking at Gus Machado Ford and saying, hey, those people are staple in the community. I bet you they would be good. Let me write his name down. Going down a little further, Westland Mall. This is the mall. Kids hang out in the mall. I need someone from the mall. And literally, that's how I built my board. And that was established in 2015. We were incorporated. We had a board of directors. We had support from local business, law enforcement, the 12 sectors. And yeah, that's how we started. And I would never in a million years back then think, here we are 2026 and we're still moving forward, moving strong, getting funding, getting grants, amazing team, amazing just community. And yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit, but the money is not.
So Leslie, sometimes the answer is right in front of us.
Yeah.
So as you look down the road, what would you like to see?
I would love to see our representatives continue to take mental health seriously. And I'm going to look at the camera when I say this, all the way down from our mayor to our governors to our senators to, be able to really understand that community needs are bipartisan and they don't focus on a single entity. And but they are very well rounded in the sense that we all need the same things. We all need safety and shelter and access to things like mental health, because your brain is a part of your body and that is directly correlated to healthcare. So that's what I would love to see.
Well said. Well said.
Good for you.
Yeah.
There's Gus Machado. I'm coming. Somebody tell him I'm on the way.
Yeah.
So what would your vision be to add to this?
I would like to add that I think it's important for parents to get educated, because some of the kids mention, no, because my mom doesn't listen to me, or my dad or my guardian doesn't listen to me. And I feel like today the kids they know a little bit more than the parents. So getting that education to the parents, getting them more involved. I know parents are very busy. I mean, all of us adults are very busy, but having some time, maybe event fairs, family fairs, make it fun and make it educational when it comes to their kids.
So as a non-expert, when you see some kid that's in trouble, you go, parents must be bad. That's not the case at all.
That is not the
No.
case
So
at
why,
all.
all right, so why don't you tell us why that's not necessarily so? We have 5 minutes left, by the
We
way.
have great parents. You know, you can put tool belts in your child's belt. You can put tools in his belt, but you can't make him use them. So we are constantly putting tools in our youth's belt and our parents' belt, but you can't make the kids use them. And I have to tell you, dealing with the older generation grandparents, that is a tough one, because you don't feel good, hold on, let me give you a pill, I have a pill here. And you have to get them to understand that just because that pill works for you, it's not going to work for that child. So you're really swimming upstream with the older generation, with the grandparents. So education is so key to everything that we do. Education. And we have a program called Talk to Hear You, and basically it's how to talk to your child, how to sit around the dinner table and how to start conversations. Hey, how was your day? Whatever. Well, what was whatever about it? Can you give me an idea of what was whatever about it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was okay. Well, what was okay about it? And these are the different tools that we give parents to try to help communicate with their kids, because at the end of the day, they do really listen. They pretend they don't, and they, are not looking at you, but they're listening. Yeah. They are listening. So talk. They hear you. It's a great campaign. It's one of the things that we do, and it's actually something that you can look under SAMHSA and get all the information.
So when the little kids are watching you, and you know they are, what's it like for you when you're in front of them?
Well, I don't want them to see me as their teacher or as another adult that's telling them what to do and what not to do. So I go there in my HCC shirt and my Nikes, and the colorful Nikes, and they're like, oh, wow, Miss Lady, I like the color and I like your sneakers. And I want them to feel comfortable. So I see the little kids and I talk to them. Like, I feel like they can tell if you're being dishonest, or they can tell if you're having a bad day. So I like to go in there with a smile, because they will. Like, they have asked me, did you have a good day today, Miss Lady? Or did you not have your coffee today? Like, maybe if I'm not smiling. So yeah, they let me know. So yeah, I want them to feel comfortable. That's what I feel that I do with them.
We have a couple minutes left, and what I'd like you each to do, I'd like you to think about somebody that has helped you. Maybe a mentor, maybe they're with us and they're not, if you like to mention their name. But this might be a good time for you to thank them. And you can look at that camera right over there, and you'll be next. Go ahead, Leslie. Look at that camera right over there.
Probably my grandmother. Sorry if I get emotional. She was very instrumental in teaching me how to express myself, and that, at any age, I was a person first and foremost, and that I deserved autonomy, I deserved understanding, and that I had a voice. So she's usually who I think about.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Liz?
And of course, I'm going to get emotional.
Right.
I'd like to thank Mary Ray Smith, who passed away less than a year ago, and she was the glue to our entire organization. She helped get us to where we're at, and we miss her every single day. That lady was a bright, bright, bright star in our community and in my life personally. So always thinking about you, Mary.
Okay. Lady, that's your camera right there.
I want to thank my mom and my dad. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for not giving up on me. And I love you so much. I hope I'm making you proud and teaching kids what I didn't listen to you guys, so I apologize. But I love you, Mommy, Papi.
Wonderful. Folks, if you need some help, you just want to talk to somebody, you can call the Hialeah Community Council. They're all over the internet. You can find them everywhere. And this is how we say goodbye to community newspapers. My brother and I subscribe to the Disney rule. Why don't you look at the camera right over there? The Disney rule is when you hug someone, don't stop until they do. Have a great day. Bye now.